G'day. Hello. Welcome to this. This doesn't have a name yet, but we thought we'd give this a go because we have the materials and we have topics to talk about and we have a pretty cool music scene in New Zealand to talk about, I believe.
Yeah, and podcasts are good. Who doesn't like a good podcast? When you're driving in the car and you can just kind of listen to stuff in general. And I think it's good to have one that's local.
Yeah,
about things that people like us are interested in.
Definitely. I mean, there's not a lot, I guess, that focuses on the sort of specifically Auckland, but New Zealand music scene that sort of caters for all. I know there's some that are like they'll cater for sort of like the punk scene and the emo scene, but there's not a lot really that kind of covers a bit of everything. And I feel like we fall under that category of covering a lot of genres. So
and there's only so much you can kind of hear from the grapevine, going out and hearing people talk, but a lot of the time there's alcohol and stuff involved, so, and you kind of forget things the next day, and things kind of go past your head. But I think it's a good time to kind of talk about these things, so we can definitely.
All right. Well, current events in the world right now, or just in the music scene? What do we reckon?
Well, I guess in the world, we can kind of base it to New Zealand. I think New Zealand current events also affect kind of what we're doing.
Oh yeah,
and what everyone else is doing. I mean, the market's not great for starters.
Market has never ever been great.
Not trying to get like political in that, but I feel like it's always a topic, especially when you're older as well. When you're, when you start to move out and you start to really kind of get into the political side of things, it affects kind of your direction in life, and being in bands and having girlfriends and boyfriends and whatever. But
definitely.
It can definitely affect what you're doing, especially musicians as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the current expensiveness of the world is just tricky. Like for the first time ever, as an example, we had to cancel a show because we just simply couldn't afford to go to this place. We were meant to do a show in Napier, and there were a couple other factors that sort of went into the reason for cancellation, but a lot of it did come down to the fact that it was going to cost us a good $500 or $600 to get there. And a current thing, especially in this music scene at the moment, is people don't buy tickets, but they say they're going to show up on the door, and it's like that's great and all, but I find two issues wrong with that. One, you don't know how many people are going to be there.
Yeah.
And you when you buy tickets, we can see, who's attending on the website. And it's like, sweet, we're going to get about, 15, 16 people in the door.
I think when you're traveling away from, your hometown or whatever area you're based in, you kind of need a little bit of security as well.
Absolutely.
I think having those sales that you can see kind of just secure that for yourself as an individual artist or bands, and then that kind of puts everyone at ease. You can get on with a good show, and a lot of people kind of forget, or it's not they don't forget it, but they will come to a show and then they're surprised at how good it is. So I think just going out there and actually breaking that barrier of whether you want to go out or not, or spend this or that, and then you end up having a good time anyway. So I think a lot of people kind of undermine a lot of artists as well. And
I would say that
up.
Definitely. I mean, these days also, I find back in my day when I started gigging and going out to gigs
in the 1920s,
back when I had just grey vision and the world was in black and white and there was no colour yet.
We all had to share one wheel for the whole town to get around.
We had one man who baked bread and one man who made guitars.
That's all you need.
No, but back in my day, I mean, I say my day, I'm talking 2017, 2018. It's not even that long ago, but it feels long ago to me because the amount of kids I see at these gigs these days, they love it. But back in my day, it was definitely about, going to see a band and getting as smashed as you possibly could.
Yeah.
And nowadays that's quite impossible because the price of alcohol alone is ridiculous, you know. But I've kind of learned that, you know, over the years, especially since dying down off of having so much alcohol, you know, I'm enjoying it more being there and kind of being sober. So it's sort of like, you know, maybe I'll just have a beer before I go, and then at the venue I might have one more beer, and then I'll drive home, and I'm like, I had a great night, watched the band, I can remember the concert, you know. And I didn't go out to town after and spend a good $400 on
regret your life decisions.
Exactly, regrets, you know, and then you wake up with a thumping headache, unable to do anything the next day.
Well, there's a lot of kind of straight edge bands now, and they're
definitely,
you know, exercise and drink water, and you know,
I mean, we don't follow that to the point of completely straight edge. Yeah. But, you know, we all look after ourselves, especially because, you know, we're not a young band anymore, which is really horrible to say.
It's these young bands, you know. I know when we started as Death Chemist, we could, you know, scull back a few and then go play and then
easily
have a jolly good time.
Yeah.
And now, especially after the weekend, the show we played, had two and then went and moshed and then just like felt sick. I was just to the bathroom, just get this poison out of me, and then you know, just waters the rest of the night, and then felt great. You know, had the energy, and you know, didn't feel like yakking it up anymore.
It's a tough one because you want to be there and you want to have a good time, but you know, you can get to a point where, oh shit, I've had too much and now I have to spew.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not having a good time. Turns out the band you wanted to see, you've now missed because you were too drunk.
Yeah, no one likes a puker, you know.
No, I think it's, you know, don't get me wrong. I think, you know, every so often you need a good night out like that, where you just have a complete rage. But also, I think a lot of people, especially like from my experience, weren't very safe about it. No, you know, it was like we just completely disregard. Like there's been a few nights where I've gotten home and have no recollection of how I've gotten there. Yeah, and I remember one time coming home with the help from the police because I was passed out outside my house. Yeah. I didn't make it to the door, but they found me and they were like, "You're alive, aren't you?" Just prodding me on the floor.
I don't think drinking a lot and then playing a show is particularly a good look as well.
See, it used to be a big thing.
Yeah,
you know? I mean, you look at all of. I think this is a thing with, especially when I started, a lot of younger guys, when they're getting their first band, they're sort of like, great, I'm going to be just like those 80s influences, and I'm just going to, you know, smash back as many drinks as I can and take as many drugs as I can. And then you quickly realize, well, you don't sometimes, but you quickly realize it doesn't quite work that way. You kind of get more frowned upon these days more than anything, you know, like I know there's been instances in Death Chemist sometimes where one member or a few members or even all of us have gone on stage and we're like, fuck, that was a bad idea. You know, it just, we sort of look back and we go, man, we just didn't play up to par. Yeah. And I guess we set our own standard, but still, you know, you don't want to look back on your performance and go, I had a crap time because I was inebriated.
Yeah. And, you know, I think everyone wants to, you know, you play a gig to showcase all the hours and weeks or even months of work that you've put in, you know. Absolutely, yeah. And then when you go up there because, you know, you're so excited and it's like, oh, it's a gig, you know, it's kind of, it's a me moment a little bit, or it's like a band moment.
It's your main character moment.
A little bit of selfishness there, but, you know, it's like these people are here to see me, and then, like, you know, me is not drunk all the time. Yeah. So it ends up, you know, kind of reflecting back and looking bad on you as like as an artist, you know, because that's not what you're about. Unless you're about that, you know. I have a friend whose band is basically get drunk and play wild.
I mean, there are some bands who do that really well.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic, but you always kind of wonder how that's going to work in the long run as well, because it's like, you know, that I just don't see it being a thing full time, you know, being able to do that sort of drunk playing live music where your thing is just playing super fast, but you've got to have at least had like half a bottle of whiskey or something.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, you know, being in your 40s and still doing that. I'm like, that's on a slow road to a hospital bed, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, unless you're, you know, I mean, everyone's probably seen the drunk compilations of, you know, rock stars playing terrible on stage, and those guys kind of came up in a different time where
Yeah, definitely.
there was no socials, and you could just once you found, and then
Yeah.
it's just up from there. And then when you're in that rock star type, like Guns N' Roses or Slash, you can just kind of do anything.
It really was. It's something that is not as common anymore, but it definitely used to be something a lot of people looked up to.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
when I started kind of learning about bands, I'd watch the, behind the music documentaries about, I'm going to be just like that, and didn't realize I had to get drunk to get famous,
yeah. Well, you get a lot of, popularity from being a little bit outrageous. What's that?
Oh, definitely.
That saying? Good. Any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, everyone's kind of adopted that at some point.
Yeah,
I know we have, but it depends. Of course, any kind of publicity you get is going to have good or bad repercussions.
Yeah.
A bit of both. But I think going sort of aiming towards more of the bad publicity is not always the best option.
No,
you don't want that kind of name, because I know there's people out there who will blacklist bands. They'll go, I'm not going to play with them for this reason.
Yeah,
I mean, it happens. Everyone has had a band they've played with and gone, nah, I don't want to play with you guys again. But
I'm sure we might be one of those bands for some people, but ultimately we try and hold a high standard now.
Yeah, definitely.
Thinking right now, we're like, high standards.
I think the first few couple of years of your band, you're definitely testing the waters, because you're writing. You've not got well, for example, like us, we didn't have anything out till 2020, mid to late 2023. So we were kind of testing the waters for a good couple of years there.
Yeah.
And of course, you make some good and bad relationships, but it's all part of learning, and you sort of also figure out where you fit in as well, because there's a lot of different types of scenes out there. I think we try and cater to as many as possible. Especially with our writing style, where we don't focus on one subgenre of rock and metal. We try and cater for everyone, because there's so many vast communities out there. I mean, coming from my main background, sort of the heavy metal community, but sort of slotting into the extreme metal community, where a lot of the gigs sort of end up a lot of the crowd like that.
Everybody, I want you to move forward, and there's like two guys.
Yeah,
you're just like, you're my best friend and you're my roommate, and like that doesn't count. So I need the rest of you guys, and they're just, look, mate, play or we're gonna leave. It's just. But at least you stuck around, I guess. But I think Death Chemist we definitely got a bit of a niche. We're able to,
definitely,
like you said, cater to a lot of different styles, and the fact that everyone in the band has kind of moved around a bit. We're doing like metalcore stuff, and then thrash and hardcore and punk and stuff. It's become quite a influential part.
Definitely,
I think that's good for a lot of people to kind of experiment with as well.
Yeah,
I feel like some bands can kind of get a little bit boring in their state. You see, this is you, and that's kind of all you are, and you kind of want to see something exciting and new. And
I think a band really should try more styles, because I think for us, especially having kind of like a multi-genre band, the possibilities are sort of endless for writing, which is really, really freeing, because you're not sort of penciled into one thing. Like if you're a speed and thrash metal band, that's fantastic. I love that. But you sort of got a small window of what you can put out. And it's not like a set of rules, but it's something that you sort of know. You don't suddenly go, we're going to write a grunge song in our speed metal band, because it just wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can branch out a bit for sure and try it, but you've probably got to put out a few different styles in one album, which is what we kind of try and do. I think we cover a lot of styles, and it's what you mentioned earlier with sort of everyone adapting to it. It's been good, because we've all sort of come out of our own comfort zones and learnt new stuff, which ultimately does make you a better player at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're able to kind of add these different elements from different styles, and then put that in the music, you know, compared to when people as a band kind of first get together, they'd be like, I like rock and I like hardcore, and then I like classical music, for example. And you put those together, and it's kind of, you got three there, and you can kind of go off that, and then as time passes, there's like branches start to kind of grow,
Definitely,
and you can kind of figure out where you want to go.
Yeah.
I think because I was in No Reason for a little bit, the hardcore band.
Yeah.
I think, when was that? 2023.
I believe you kind of started 2023.
Yeah,
I know you played a few gigs then, and then through start of 24, right?
yeah. I think
Yeah.
I did one or two in 24, but
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, learning that the kind of hardcore style wasn't something that I'd listened to at all or done before, but now I have like a plethora of songs on my Spotify, and but just as a bassist, it's kind of, you kind of stuck to the 4 1 2 3 4 frets, and you just do 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 do, and you know that kind of didn't feel like me, even though that is kind of the hardcore thing, is to kind of stay in that that kind of boundary line of 1 2 3 4.
Yeah.
And then I was like doing stuff up here, but also learning that like the elements of the hardcore style as well, which I just like kept with me. And
because there is sort of like a script, if you will say, to follow with sort of hardcore songs. You know, they've got your big intro and your verse. You sort of got your breakdowns. You've kind of got almost your techno verse sometimes in there as well, where you get the keyboard out and pump out something.
yeah, and
I think that's kind of more metalcore than sort of hardcore. But
yeah,
you know,
you've
you've got your kind of like your foundations there of how it goes. You just kind of have to make something from that.
Yeah, there's foundations for all music and all styles, and like kind of set elements of what those styles are, and it's good to kind of stay within those if that's how you want to be. But I think breaking those is you know, just shows how you can grow as a musician, and not letting, you know, like limitations kind of hold you back.
It's something that's definitely worked for us. I mean, compared to the stuff. I mean, the first album that Death Chemist has done is a lot of the stuff we first wrote together when we first formed in 2021. I mean, that's a long time ago now. It feels like, and listening to that and sort of the new material we've been writing and working on, it feels like a completely different group sometimes.
Yeah,
it's like, I can't believe those
Yeah.
guys made that, are now doing this, and it's just from trying different stuff and learning new styles, and it really does make an impact on your playing, which is just awesome.
And for me personally, kind of being with guys that have had music their whole lives, compared to myself when I've only been doing it for about 5 years now.
Yeah.
4 years, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's
and then
right.
With you know, limitations to myself as well, but just seeing how fast I've been able to grow and learn all this stuff in such a quick time, being surrounded by other musicians as well, and the fact that we're able to sit down and just like bang stuff out, just like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Just really helps and improves.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's finding also good people to do that with as well.
You want people who can kind of motivate you, but also, you know, like we'll come in and I'll start playing something, and then Seb will just start drumming, and then sometimes you've got a song right then and there. Sometimes you've just got a jam, but you know, you've got something out of it, which is great. And the sort of proactiveness of a band is like, you know, you just keep going and trying stuff, which is fun.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like, oh, I've got this idea, and it's like, okay, let's try it. You know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but we'll give it a go. Because I mean, we've written, I don't know how many songs we've written now. I mean,
A lot.
just
heaps,
including stuff we may have like written and kind of forgotten about. There's got to be a few hundred.
Yeah.
At least in the 100 to 150 mark of songs. There's so many, but you know, you try stuff and you forget about it, but then you know, you bring it back up and maybe you'll use it again. Who knows?
Yeah, I think you know, for the bands and the artists that end up listening to it, if you do, Is just recording
Please
recording all your sessions, and even your jams, and then just putting it on a Google Drive file, and then kind of put them in different folders. Like, these are demos, these are songs that we can work on. This songs for the album or whatever. But just keeping a record of that, so you have something to go back to.
Yeah.
A lot of artists and musicians I've had the greatest pleasure of working with in the past, we might come up with something, and then sometimes one of the people was like, no, I don't like this, so I'm gonna cut it just completely. This never to be seen again. And I most of the time they're good riffs, or they're good parts to a song, and the fact that people will just like cut them off and say this is not good enough. You can always put it back in the vault and then bring it out later.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I think, a couple of songs on the new stuff we've been writing, I think we've written maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
But there's still things that one day I'm like, they're in my head, I know we could bring that out. And sometimes right at the perfect moment, it'll come out and you'll go, that's exactly what this song needed.
Yeah.
It's just, but like you say, the recording practices is a new thing we've been doing since we've sort of updated the recording gear we've got, and it's made a huge difference. You can, like, we've been demoing for a second album, and you just demo it with what you like. We use an electric kit. We just plug everyone in through the interface, but you can get an idea of how the song will sound by using the effects on the recording as well. Like, we've been able to sort of manipulate some of the vocals, and I go, that's sort of the sound we've wanted for this, with this sort of weird fuzzy effect on it, but it's working,
Yeah.
And you get an idea of how the song is going to go in your head, like when it's recorded, which is completely different to how you play it live a lot of the time, because there's so many things. You go into the recording studio, or your lounge or your bedroom or wherever you're recording, and you'll start laying what you think you're meant to be laying down, but then you'll suddenly go, wait, I have an idea, and I think this is going to work. It's very freeing, but it's fun, and it's just I've forgotten what I was going to say.
There's a lot of chopping and changing as well.
Yes, that was it. Yeah,
and also that's the point of a demo. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's
not the final version.
Yeah, no. And it's a bunch of ideas that are kind of put together to make a rough draft of what is to come.
Yeah, I'll play the demos we do in the car on the way to work, like the day after we've done them, and I'm like, you could sort of also come in with a fresh mind. I've also found, you take a break from your song for a night, a week, a month, and you come back to it and you go, okay, I've got a better idea now for that, But it's nice to be able to listen to it and go, okay, this is what we're doing, and I think this could be better, this could be worse, or sometimes it might be perfect. But yeah, recording your practices has become a big part of our thing, and it's really, really working for us. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's helping a lot. I think the demos that we listen to is just like mostly on repeat. So I can kind of just like ingrain it in my mind and be like, this, I like this part in this, but this could be a little bit different.
Yeah.
I think just listening to your own stuff back, and you're allowed to critique your own stuff and like be as vicious as you want, but just don't do that to other people, especially not in front of their face. No, at least
if you don't like a part, you just kind of tell them, look, I don't know if that's working for me. Do you want to maybe try it this way, or do you want to maybe go away and see if there's another way to do it? I know sometimes there's things that come out where, for example, Tenny will sing something and we go, I don't know if that's quite the right fit for this one. Do you want to maybe give it a go this way? Not to kind of tell him how to do his job, but also sometimes there is a safe zone where a lot of people will go with their vocals. I do it with my guitar playing as well. I'm like, that's a safe thing I can just do for now. But, ultimately you want to push yourself to do the best job you can.
Yeah.
And as long as you're sort of nice about critiquing people.
Yeah,
that was fucking shit. You suck. You should never pick up a microphone again, you fucking bitch.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with hearing the same lick in like a couple different shows. Like, hey, I've heard that before.
Yeah,
That must be his favorite one. You know, like, oh look, it's actually in a song this time, or it's on the recording. Like,
you
I've
want
heard that.
you want to surprise people, especially at shows. You know, you want to come out and go, oh, this is something completely different that no one's seen before. Even if the people are the same people or different people.
That kind of reminds me of the people. You know, you're at a show and it's quiet. Everyone's trying to tune, or the guitarist is ready, and then starts. I'm sure you've done it once or twice, and you bust out like the what's that guitar lick, that corny guitar lick everyone does. What is it, man? I don't know. I feel like you do the SpongeBob one a bit, but I don't think you've done that on stage before, or you know, someone will tell like a real kind of silly joke that just kind of you're laughing because it's so awkward and you need to fill the room out with space. You know,
I mean, sometimes I think there's some repetition at shows with us, but it's normally stuff that works. But like, I mean, I can't think of what lick you're talking about. It's just gone from my mind. I mean, I feel like if I did it at practice, you'd know. Yeah, 100%. So maybe next time we're at practice,
I'll point it out.
We'll just throw it in this insert right now.
Yeah, just like little pop-ups.
Yeah. Well, this has been a test podcast, I guess. We didn't really. We just kind of had the idea the other day, and we thought, well, we've got the gear, so let's kind of give it a go. So, we'd love some feedback on sort of what you want. I think what we want to do is kind of just keep talking about the music scene in New Zealand. That's sort of our thing, definitely. And we'll definitely talk to some people about inviting some local artists, some band members to come yarn. And,
even just avid music listeners, because I know that there's a lot of people who you see at almost every gig.
100%. Yeah,
just like they probably have a lot to say.
It's a nice feeling seeing those people coming back. It's like you either love what we're doing or you're just dedicated, or you just love gigs.
But we don't have a name for. I don't know I can't remember if you mentioned it or not. But we don't have a name for the podcast. So if whoever's, for your listeners out there, if you could drop some names in the comments, we'll probably maybe. I guess we'll just post this on the Instagram, or
I think we'll do Instagram
and the Spotify as well.
Spotify. I guess for the record, it's going to be me and Dallas doing this because we're the two people that live together.
Yeah,
and I mean, we'll probably try to get a couple of like 10 and 7 for an episode every so often, but depends. But yeah, we're open to pretty much anything. Yeah, we could even play riffs on this. We can plug in and play riffs on this podcast too.
Yeah, well, I'll pop it on the Spotify as well, and chuck a like and subscribe so you can keep up with all the future videos as well.
It would be fun actually to bring in like a guitarist from a band and just get him. We could talk about favorite riffs, favorite songs he like, and play them. Yeah, or bassist, stuff like that.
Yeah, just so I guess we're super open at this point about what
definitely.
we're gonna talk about. So I guess we'll just stay tuned for the next one.
Yeah. Again, give us a name.
Yeah. That's probably the main thing.
We don't know how to end this right now.
Something memorable. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess this is me and Dallas signing off. I guess
for the that's
night.
A wrap.
We'll see you in the next one, my G's.